Hello everyone, welcome to another video. We're going to do another bookish one. We've been doing a lot of bookish ones recently, but I love it. It makes me very happy. I love talking books. And I've got to say, I'm filming this in March, and I feel really good about my reading so far this year. I feel like not all the books have been great. In fact, a lot of them have been subpar, but I'm really working through my to-read list, which feels so good. And I'm hoping that by the end of this year, I can then start picking up new books. I'm really trying to be strict with myself this year and basically only read books on my to-read list. We'll see how that pans out. Anyway, for a few years now, I've shared my Storygraph reading wrap-up on here, and I've also tier-ranked books. And I've mentioned a lot that I basically never give out 5 stars. That also actually counts for like theatre and shows. I don't know why, there is just something that always holds me back from giving something a 5 star. And I don't know when this started, because at some point I did give 5 stars to a handful of books on Storygraph. So I, for today, want to go back and have a look at those 5-star reads and see if I still agree with it. That being said, I haven't read these books probably in a while, so I might need to reread them to reevaluate how I feel about them, but this is just from how I remember them, because you'd think the 5-star reads stick with you. The 2 that come to mind that I think should be 5-star reads are The Book Thief and Time and Time Again by Ben Elton, but we'll see. And while we're in Storygraph, I will also update the book I'm currently reading, because I've read quite a bit more, I think, since I last updated it. Let's go, if I can remember how to start this. Okay, here's my Storygraph page. Let me first of all update this. I'm currently reading The Secret History, which I am struggling through, to be perfectly honest, but we're doing our best. So I'm at 1925, so we're gonna pop that in. 88%, we're almost there. It's a big book as well. Now, I need to remember where to go. They introduced this favourites shelf, and I didn't really know what to put on there, but the only one that at the time came to mind was The Book Thief, so I put that on there, but I guess I can add Time and Time Again as well. 5-star reads, there are 7. Look at the distribution of that though. Loads between 4 and 4.75. A fair amount between 3 and 3.75, and then very few between like 0, 1, 2, and 5. I might look at the low ones. Oh, I didn't mean to look at that. We'll look at the low ones as well. Actually, do you know what? I clicked into it. The Quiet American. I posted a review about this, and it had some very negative feedback from YouTube people, but it is one that I'm curious to reread and see how I feel about it now that I'm a little bit older, and, you know, maybe going in with a different mindset, not having to read it for school, reading it by choice, you know, all these things. Anyway, that will be a separate video if or when I do reread. Let's see my 2 stars, because again, like, that's not 9. Eleanor Oliphant is completely fine, that's from last year, and I spoke about it. So The Lighthouse is also from last year, and I spoke about it. The Understudy is, I think, either from last year or the year before, but I definitely spoke about that one as well. The Dinner Party, I don't remember scoring so low, but there we go. Oh, I wrote a review for that one. Shall we read the review? Unfortunately, this book fell a little flat to begin with. It felt very slow-paced, and the mystery element didn't come in until about halfway. It also felt like a reasonably obvious mystery. It was an easy read with relatively simple language, but I did also notice a number of editing errors, which wasn't ideal. I didn't particularly like the characters or relationships, and overall this book felt a bit nothing to me. Usually when a book feels nothing, I give it a 3 though. So the fact that it was like worse than nothing is interesting. Anyway, Countdown to Christmas. I can't believe that was so low. A Christmas book being low? That's unlike me. Ask and You Will Succeed. I don't really remember that one. I'm not sure. Think Before It's Too Late, I do remember, and I also filmed a book review about. All About Love, I only gave 2 stars. That's crazy. I think I did film a book review about this one as well, I think. But I've never watched it back, so I don't know what I said. That's so interesting. And The Girl Most Likely, I'm also quite surprised that it was so low, because that was a physical book I read, and I think I was really excited to read it at the time. Anyway, now, onto my 5-star reads. We've got 7 of them. So number 1 is Alice in Wonderland. Yeah, I think that's fair. I actually don't recall loving that version. This is quite recent. I think this was maybe 2 or 3 years ago, and I think it might have been an audio book, and I didn't love that audio version, but I do just love Alice in Wonderland. There's The Book Thief. Winnie the Pooh has to be on there. I don't know if that's a BBC collection, so I don't think that's the one I have. I have like a gorgeous illustrated collection. I think it's in Australia. If I find it when I'm there, I will vlog that and share it. But I think that's what I was actually reviewing. But to be honest, anything Winnie the Pooh is 5 stars for me. The Fault in Our Stars. I think that's the kind of book that I would still rate really highly, but probably not a 5-star. 13 Reasons Why. I read this book before 13 Reasons Why became big, like way before it was announced that it was going to be a TV show. Really a long time. I wonder if it shows when I read it. 2015. Alexa, when did 13 Reasons Why, the TV show, come out?
13 Reasons Why premiered on March 31st, 2017.
Okay, not way before, but a little bit before. And yeah, I just loved it. And I loved the way it was the first time I'd ever read a book that was like written as audio tapes, and I don't even think I've read anything since. There was so much about it that I loved, but again, I do think if I reread or listened to it now, it would probably not score quite as high. Still high, but not 5 stars necessarily. And then of course, Time and Time Again. Ooh, and This Girl's Different. I love that book. My parents got me that book because they said it reminded them of me, and it was so me, except that this girl was living in a different kind of context to where I was living. And A, I loved where she was living, but B, I also found it really frustrating because the environment around her was so anti everything that she stood for. Whereas like the way I was growing up, yes, the world sucks, but also I did feel like I had a place in it, and I did feel like I could fight the patriarchy and whatever else. It wasn't just about the patriarchy, I don't think. But I think it was also environmentalist and whatever. There was like loads of stuff in there that I really related to, but it was just pulled to the extreme. So I think if I reread it now, first of all, it might be a little bit more childish, maybe. And second of all, I would maybe find that even more frustrating that it was so dramatized, I guess. But I did love it. It was a good book. That's it. Those are all my 5-star reads. I don't know if there's a way to just look at my 4.75s and like see how close we get, how many of those we have. Okay, it looks like there's only one 4.75, but I don't know if I can click into it. That's a shame. Atomic Habits. That's the only book. That's crazy. Again, like it was a good book, and it was short, and it was easy, and it was bite-sized, and I enjoyed it. But I can't believe that's 4.75 and nothing else. That should show you how strict I am about my ratings. Let me check my 4.5s. That's genuinely wild. Okay, 12 4.5s. Let's have a look at those. Only 12 in all my years of reviewing things. That being said, for a long time when everything was on Goodreads, you couldn't do 0.25 or even 0.5. So I think they've only just introduced 0.5. So for a long time, I could only rate something a 4 or a 5, and then I definitely would have leaned towards 4. But let's see the 4.5s. The Little Cafe in Copenhagen. I'm shocked. I am shocked. I mean, I remember, well, that must have been the first one, yeah. I remember liking the series, but 4.5 is generous. Beartown, absolutely fair. Oh, so the second Beartown must have been scored lower, or the third. There was one that I did slightly lower. Crazy. The Tattooist of Auschwitz, I'm kind of surprised that was as high as 4.5. I would have thought more around the 4 mark, but I guess I really enjoyed it. Desert Flower definitely deserves to be there. Educated definitely deserves to be there. I spoke about that one. The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, absolutely. Lessons in Chemistry was a good book, really good book. The Anthropocene Reviewed, fair enough. Again, like, I don't know, I can't compare it to the rest of these books. Anyway, Sunrise on the Raping Sofa. The Last Lifeboat, interesting. Like, I remember bits of it, and I know it was a historical fiction, so that's probably why I liked it, but I can't believe I rated it so high. Jews Don't Count, I'm also kind of surprised it was that high. Again, I would have thought more around the 4.25 mark, not 4.5, especially when we can see that that's essentially my 5-star. But okay, interesting. And then Atmosphere, which I only finished quite recently. Okay, cool. Let me switch this off. Okay, I think that was really interesting and insightful to me. Maybe not much to you. Maybe it was interesting, I hope. Or maybe it's given you an idea of some books to read that you haven't yet discovered. But again, people have such different like preferences in books, and I have different preferences in books to what I had 2 years ago, to 5 years ago, to 10 years ago. And about 10 to 12 years ago, I think, is when I started tracking my books. So there's still a lot. I'm so sad that there's so much from my childhood that I didn't log. But I'm glad I've got what I've got, and it's fun to look through the statistics and the data. So yeah, I think I'm going to leave it here. Let me know if you've read any of these books, or if you now plan to, or if you have any recommendations based off my 5-star reads and everything else. If there's any books you're like, you need to read this, let me know, even though I'm trying to be stricter with my reading this year. And I'll see you all very soon with another video. Bye!